Hello.
Hello, hello. Welcome to a very, very special edition of the Green Nurse Podcast, Clinical Conversations at High Noon. It's high noon somewhere, where we bring hope and inspiration for growth and healing. We are here to change the dialogue and stigma around what it means to feel good or be high. Hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. My name is Sherry Mack, and I'm the Vice President of Nursing here at Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse. I'm a cannabis nurse, patient, advocate, activist, and a very passionate podcaster here to change the paradigm of healthcare. I'm here with Nurse Elizabeth Mack, CEO and co-founder of Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse.
Well, hello and greetings. We're excited to talk with you today about medical cannabis updates and legislation. Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse have been doing this for quite a while. We merged in 2021 so that we could bring together the most comprehensive education and coaching programs available to transform how we access, understand, and utilize medicinal cannabis to optimize health for all consumers, both patients and practitioners.
Yep. And the Green Nurse podcast was birthed in 2018 after the National Council State Boards of Nursing came out with guidelines that all nurses must have 6 essential areas of knowledge when it comes to cannabis as medicine. So we're here to decrease stigma around medical use of cannabis because why? Everyone deserves to feel good and everyone deserves a nurse. So Clinical Conversations was birthed on the Green Nurse podcast out of the 4 Ds and the 4 Ps, which Elizabeth is going to review as it fields into our mission and vision as to how we're going to change the paradigm of healthcare. Elizabeth?
Right. And so we over at Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse, we overcome the 4 Ds: disconnect, distrust, disorganization, and dosing. When you look at cannabis medicine, there's no connection between the doctors, the dispensaries, communicating, this is best practices, this is how you take everything, etc. That's missing. And what we wanted to do is bring in process and professionalization programs for providers and patients and vetted products that we can then personalize and help patients dose and make the most of. So that's what we're doing in building what I call the medical door. The medical door needs to be at every dispensary. So there's an adult use door, but there's also a medical door where clinicians can work with the patients.
Oh, there you go. So people are making great medicines. People are selling these amazing plant phytobotanical nutrient formulations, yet no one is truly interpreting how to use cannabis as medicine. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. And so before we get started, I'm going to have you share the screen. We have a message from our very special sponsors at Bloom Hemp. So today's show is sponsored by Bloom Hemp, a national CBD hemp supplier with a powerful mission to change the paradigm of healthcare. Founded and run by women and nurses, Bloom Hemp is dedicated to deliver top quality patient-centered care. Their USDA organic CBD products are grown in the picturesque mountains of Colorado and meticulously tested for purity, potency, and cannabinoid profiles. As an added bonus, Bloom Hemp offers a free nurse line, 970-404-HOPE, HOPE 4673, to provide expert guidance and insights into the benefits of CBD and how it interacts with the body. We also offer a free emailed care plan located on the services tab. So if you go to the services tab and you fill out an intake form, what we'll do is we'll email you back with a few product recommendations and lifestyle tips tailored specifically to you.
Because this is the patient-centered ecosystem.
This is it.
Where the patients come first in everything we do, and everything is built around there. So this is how we take the 4 Ps and put it into work right away to overcome the 4 Ds. There's no disconnect when we work with our patients.
Yeah.
So today, what we're going to do here,
we're going to get really excited. We're going to start with the first link and then go to the 7th link. But I'm like, no, let's go to the 7th link and work backwards because this is really big news, right? The American Nurses Association made an announcement on Thursday, the 28th,
that they were going to recognize cannabis nursing as a specialty nursing practice. Yeah, so what this means is that you've heard of oncology nurses, psychiatric nurses, hospice nurses. Now there's going to be cannabis nurses, right? And we've been some of the OGs the last 9 years working in this field. But now we are going to be able to be recruiting and training nurses across America to be able to follow in our footsteps.
Yeah. So let's talk about what this means.
Yeah.
So this came out on Thursday, September 27th. And on September 27th, it so happened, the American Cannabis Nurses Association, right, had a scope and standards meeting to discuss about the new announcement.
Right. And so the American Cannabis Nurses Association is not a branch of the American Nurses Association, but its own little industry group, right? There's about 1,000 members. It's 12 years old now. And the founding members of this really said, we are going to bring this mission statement to life to advance excellence in cannabis nursing practice through advocacy, collaboration, education, research, and policy development. And we're doing that left and right as we're trying to pave these roads into conventional healthcare. So the ACNA, what we did, I was a treasurer for the 4 years, and now Sherry's a current board member. What we did was put together what we call the scope and standards of practice. And if I'm going to show you just briefly what scope and standards of practice is, we think of that when we have medicine, right? What are the scope of what we can do? What are we allowed to do? And what are the standards of practice? How should we deliver this care? And normally when we're talking about this, it's like the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm, right? Put that patient first, make sure that you're doing right for them. And then we have information on physicians and how they should work with patients. But really, it should be where the physician is following the patient, not just writing the recommendation. But and we're working with the doctors to make sure that the now what on how to actually use cannabis is followed. And that is what the doctors and nurses have always done. The doctor writes the orders, the nurses implement it. And that's what we're doing here, boots on the ground. The ANA, a few years back, it's 7 years back, said that this shouldn't be a Schedule 1, but they were saying maybe it should be a Schedule 2, which is kind of silly. But what we're doing is now writing it into how we should deliver this, and we'll get to the different levels of the scheduling in a minute. But what the NCSBN did in the essential knowledge for nurses, what they were going to say needs to be a minimum standard of education for nurses taking the NCLEX, which is our state boards. I remember taking that way back in the 80s and being able to become an RN. And so what they're going to do is build these competencies into the training, and which is what we're doing, right? But having an understanding of the endocannabinoid system, cannabinoids, interactions, pharmacology, safety, and how to be able to help a patient use this meticulously and efficiently and not have different problems, right? So how do we prevent cannabis use disorders? How do we prevent people getting cannabis hyperemesis or intoxication because they've used too much? This is where nurses come and make sure that they are able to work with the patient doing the scope and standards of care. So ACNA wrote our own scope and standards, and these are some of the things that we're saying that we're going to be doing, but really it's that conduit of help and assistance and education, guidance, and support for the patient, recognizing that untrained non-medical professionals are giving these people advice. And we love bud tenders at the dispensaries, but they should not be practicing medicine. And we need to have this where we are the game changers for the patients, because the doctors aren't talking about it yet. The conventional care doctors, if you go to your doctor and say, how do I use cannabis as medicine? I can't talk about that because it's not FDA approved yet. Nurses have to bridge the gap. And we have been for the past decade. And now, thank goodness, we can actually have a subspecialty where this is what we do all day, every day. So that's kind of the shorthand, but it's really focusing on healthcare consumers who are seeking education and guidance in the therapeutic use of cannabis. And we recognize that we have knowledge. We understand the endocannabinoid system, which we'll tell you about in other podcasts. And then nurses are able to provide the education that patients need in high quality nursing care, coaching, incorporating holistic measures, because it's not just about the pills or the cannabinoids. It's about how do we bridge conventional care with cannabinoid care and holistic care on the 4 pillars: nutrition, rest, movement, and connection. And that's really what keeps us healthy, right? And good holistic nurses are able to do that. And making sure that we can reduce harms, like we said, not having impairment, not having use disorders, because guess what? When we work with patients, I don't have any patients that have been addicted or actually even having bad experiences in the last 8-9 years I've been doing this, because I start low, go slow, using CBD first, using the different routes of administration, understanding potency and all the practicalities, so that when we teach them, we're giving them the best of the best.
And that's what makes our educational platform just a little bit different, is that not only are we creating curriculum and writing it and teaching it, but we're also taking care of patients. Yeah. Elizabeth and I, over the past 9 years, have taken care of about 6,000 patients combined in our care, from pediatrics to geriatrics to hospice patients, to people coming off of opioids, to people coming off of heroin, to people coming off of alcohol, to people that want to bridge the gap, people graduating from hospice, pediatrics, geriatrics, you name it, we've done it. So we've been able to, so not only is the curriculum that we're writing, on the scope and standards and also evidence-based, but also we bring in a lot of real world experience with the patients, the thousands of patients that we've actually helped.
Which is all throughout this program. And as I look at here, module 3, this is all of the practicalities of bringing it into healthcare, but we have been writing curriculum for a long, long time. If you look at module 2 here, neurological, mental health, cardiovascular, autoimmune, chronic pain, cancer, you name it, we're teaching it. And that's what we do at the ACNA. We are providers. So if nurses want to say, how do I start? They come and they're able to get this kind of education with holistic caring. And that's what we think that we're representing here. So as cannabis nursing is becoming recognized as its own subspecialty, you have to have good curriculum to train them. And that's what we're doing here at Holistic Caring. So anybody interested, they can just click on the professional programs right here and look at the different programs. Everything is given, the CE is given through the Board of Registered Nursing for the state of California. So we are able to train nurses and give them the continuing education they need, along with the best curriculum that we can find, and the toolkit, because it's not only about learning it, it's how to apply it. If I become a cannabis health coach right now, what do I do with that, right? And this is what we were talking about this morning in our mastermind. When we're talking about cannabis and hemp, right now, they're 2 different things. But really, it's all cannabis.
Well, we'll just say, so yeah, cannabis, hemp is cannabis. It just has a low amount of THC.
Yes.
It's just classified. The difference between hemp and cannabis is a lab result.
Yeah, and a lot of times people will refer to cannabis as marijuana, right? Which is what we're going to go back to. If we can circle back to link number 1 here.
Let's do that.
This is, where we're saying the Schedule 3 recommendation of the HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services now, is saying that we would like to reschedule. Right now it's slated in Schedule 1. And let me just show you what Schedule 1 is. I have that right here in my psychedelic programs. So Schedule 1 is really where cannabis is, drugs with no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. So LSD, PCP, psilocybin, peyote, mescaline, cannabis, and heroin. So obviously cannabis doesn't belong here. We know that it has medical value for thousands and thousands of years. Where the rescheduling is potentially slated to be is right here in Schedule 3. So putting cannabis in there with ketamine, codeine, steroids, testosterone, and there it would still be a controlled substance, right?
Right. So as nurses, we want to deschedule. We want no schedule.
So,
none.
Right. So it would be right here, basically over the counter, which is where it is right now in the adult use state. So think about a medical cannabis. You have to go through the rigmarole. If it was a Schedule 3, you would have to get a prescription from your doctor and get it at a pharmacy. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But where it sits right now is that this recommendation happened on August 30th, and now the process goes to the DEA, right? And so the DEA has X number of days that they are going to be able to look at this, and then they have to answer, right? And saying where it's going to be. So everybody's making bets on how this is going to fall out, how long it's going to take, etc. But one of the favorite firms that I've been reading, Harris Bricken, they're cannabis attorneys, and they write every day on these things. And so what does rescheduling mean? You know, if we were to look this up, it's not a done deal. It's going to take a long time. State marijuana businesses would be clear of federal enforcement, but still taxed. So let's look at some of these myths just quickly here. It's not a done deal. So the DEA can take up to a year to be able to say whether or not they want to do this. And the DEA also has a history of ignoring people that are petitioning to deschedule or reschedule. They've done it many times. Most of the time, they're just ignored. The last time it got into a serious descheduling petition was in 2016, which they said no. There was no evidence that it should be coming out of Schedule 1. So we didn't do a good enough job. And so now it's, you know, we've got some deal making in politics, and everything is political. But the good thing is that state marijuana businesses would be clear of federal enforcement if it was a Schedule 3. But it's not, right? If it's Schedule 3, ketamine is still a controlled substance, right? So you would still have the cannabis products behind the counter in a pharmacy, and who knows what would be happening with the state level programs, because the DEA could shut it all down. Right now, state programs are working because of the Cole memo, and the Cole memorandum basically was signed in the Obama administration, where federal legislators and the DEA, basically the cops, could not interfere with the state programs. And now we're also talking about a $30 billion business here in America that is all cash. So what we have to do is talk about banking and taxes. And if cannabis was rescheduled to a Schedule 3, we would not have 280E apply. So the good thing is that cannabis businesses would be able to take normal business deductions that right now they're precluded from doing, but it wouldn't fix the banking thing, right? And so here's the other thing. Last week, Safe Bank, so safe banking has been actually put through 7 times. It has passed the House. Last week, Safer Banking, a new version of it, passed the Senate Banking Committee. And that means that it can now proceed to the full Senate for a vote. We do think that this might happen sometime by the end of the year, hopefully, because then we could have banking. And banking would mean that people would be able to not use just cash, as well as cannabis industry could get investments. And that would be huge, because we need it, especially if we're going to be able to treat it like healthcare and start looking at clinical trials and what that looks like, right? So what does it look like to put cannabis into healthcare? This is a whole nother thing, right? Because right now you go to the dispensary in a legal state like California, you don't have to go through any kind of scheduling, and the people that are selling those products don't have to make them into a drug. So what would happen if cannabis was a Schedule 3? We would have to put it through the FDA process of drugs, right? So what does that look like, and how might it apply to cannabis? Cannabis.
This is exhausting, y'all. I don't know about you, but this is a lot.
Yeah, when we think of drugs, we now have to deal with the FDA. When we look at these drugs that are in Schedule 3, all of them have been through FDA review. Same thing for 4, 5, 2, etc. So what this means is the FDA would have to say that they've been tested on people. They've gone through exhaustive clinical trials, which, you know, the last chart was about $1 billion in cost to be able to take a drug to market. And that's why only the big pharmaceutical companies can do this. The last one that made it through was Epidiolex. So Epidiolex was made into a pharmaceutical drug. It is about 99% pure CBD. So it's an isolate form of CBD, but it does come from the cannabis plant. And so it's been purified, and it was taken into the FDA process. Initially, Epidiolex was slated in Schedule 5, but then they descheduled it completely, taking it out of the Controlled Substance Act. So right now, Epidiolex, you can buy it on the formulary in America right now for 2 conditions. Doctors that are taking care of kids that have the seizure disorders, Dravet syndrome and Lennox-Gastaut, where these kids are having sometimes 300 seizures a week, they are able to get Epidiolex, and efficacy is 60-70% on Epidiolex. So CBD does work, and we're still waiting for this to be expanded so CBD can be prescribed with Epidiolex for other conditions, other neurological conditions, other immune conditions, cancer. We know that CBD can be used for many different things, but it takes forever as far as what that can be done. Now, we do have other examples. So Marinol, generic is dronabinol, or Sesamet, which is another one, Nabilone. These are synthetic versions of THC. Both of them came out about 1985 when we first purified and synthesized THC, but they are on the market for chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting, and chemotherapy neuropathy, as well as appetite. So cachexia. So when somebody is getting cancer treatments, a lot of times they lose their appetite. They can't eat. And cannabis can stimulate the appetite. But this is going to be a whole big drug process, right? So all of this, is it going to be cannabis derived like Epidiolex, or are we going to have synthetic? And where does adult use cannabis fit in? Not anywhere on this page. And so that is the thing. When we're looking at what the process is going to be, we have a potential rescheduling to Schedule 3. We have potential descheduling where it's completely out of the Controlled Substance Act. And we have a lot of politics that's going to be happening between now and then.
Well, I have a question. So the American Nurses Association officially recognizes cannabis nursing as a specialty nursing practice. Why isn't the American Medical Association recognizing cannabis medicine?
Well, if we were to talk about the scope and standards of practice for nurses versus the scope and standards of practice for doctors, you would probably see that variance. Nurses have a nursing diagnosis. It's fluid, it changes, it works with the patient. As the patient's getting better, their nursing diagnoses can go away. Alteration in comfort, alteration in rest. We can repair those functional issues, whereas medical is a diagnostic, right? If I have MS, that is a diagnostic code, ICD-9, and everything that happens after that is going to be associated with the fact that I am an MS patient. That is a medical diagnosis, right? And the medical diagnosis, the doctors are going to be looking at what they can give me that's going to treat, prevent, or cure that disease. That's not talking about holistic measures. It's not talking about anything other than drugs because you go ahead.
This is my favorite thing. According to the FDA, only FDA-approved medicines by the FDA can make any claims to cure, treat, or prevent a disease. Yeah. So anything holistic that isn't approved by the FDA cannot make those claims. Yeah.
So, and also think about doctors, most of their medical school training didn't include the endocannabinoid system. They don't know about cannabis as a medicine. They don't know how it works in therapeutic health. And all of the drugs that they're trained on how to administer, that training comes from pharmaceutical companies. And they're not making this yet as other than, Marinol and Nabilone. So yeah, it's going to take a while for doctors to catch up because they write those FDA prescriptions and that's all they know, right? They're not really even prescribing lifestyle as medicine, except good old docs like Dean Ornish 40 years ago, and many people in the functional and lifestyle medicine camps. But, it's going to take a while, right? But the AMA is going to follow. They eventually are going to follow, but it is going to have to be rescheduled or descheduled, and we don't know what's going to happen, right? So at this point, stay tuned to Holistic Caring. One of the things that I'd like to say is if you would like more information on how all of this is going to go down, go to our media section on the website, click the free medical cannabis guide. You're going to need it anyway. And then sign up for our newsletter because our newsletter comes out on the 1st of the month. And we put in there all of the stuff that is pertinent and timely, and a lot of the events that we have coming up where we're teaching this so that everybody can learn. So stay tuned to all that we're doing. Sign up for the newsletter and join us in the network, right? If you hit join us on the network, it's going to go right into Holistic Carrying Network. And this is right now, that's what you have pulled up there, but you'll end up in the home section. And in the home section, you can see the feed. This is Charmaine, our pharmacist and virtual assistant, who is amazing, doing all of these beautiful graphs as well. But this was the blog that we put out this morning at Bloom Hemp. And it was really teaching people about the different routes of administration. And so everybody needs to learn about this. So if you want to learn more about this, the Bloom blog at bloomhemp.com has all of these different dosing tips. And there's always more to learn here. So that's part of it. And then events. So please sign up for our events. We have a monthly clinical conversations, which is our webcast. We have a monthly support group in the psychedelic zone, which everybody is welcome. That's a plant medicine, and it just works a little bit differently, activating neurons in the brain that can expand our thinking and levels of function.
Yeah, we're in a psychedelic renaissance. And so those that are experimenting or utilizing psychedelics really need to understand about all of the other systems of your body, the endocannabinoid system in particular.
Yeah.
So we teach how to take care of our bodies.
Exactly. And the thing is, people are like, psychedelics, why would you have psychedelics programs? They're not legal. But
cannabis wasn't legal either.
and people are using them in the underground left and right. So our whole value proposition is that you need to understand this. And so we wrote an entire program, which is what I've been teaching from over here. But the psychedelics program, again, if you want to understand these drugs and the history of these drugs and how they were used in beginning times, thousands of years ago, actually up to 7,000 BC, we've had cave depictions of people using mushrooms. And so it's a beautiful program. But the point is that people are accessing and finding these medicines. So we have the program, and then we have our coaching services. And this is for people that are coming to us saying, I have access to plant medicines. I would like to experiment. How do I do it? And where do I start? And we talk about preparation and education so that we can set the stage right. Setting is everything. Dosing is everything. Making sure that you have a care provider with you to be a chaperone, etc. And then integration and community is really what needs to happen after that. So we are the people that are leading people through plant medicine, whether it's cannabis or others, psilocybin, etc., ketamine, people that are having these FDA-approved ketamine sessions with providers, but they're not getting the coaching then. How do I contextualize this and really improve my life? And that's what we're doing here at Holistic Carrying and the Green Nurse.
That's right, we are. And so if you're new to cannabis as medicine, if you're new to psychedelics, if you're curious, the first thing to do would be to join the network.
Join the network.
Literally.
Just point your phone right here, right now, and you will be able to go right to the network, and we'll let you in. There's a little gateway, so just wait a minute. And as soon as we get your message that you want to come in, because it's a private network, we'll let you in. And then
in the network, we offer a free introductory to cannabis course. Yeah. All of our webcasts, all of our clinical conversations, and all of our podcasts are listed in there. We also have a host of learning management. It's our learning management system where we host all of our other courses. It's where we have our events, and it's where we do our training. So we do nurses that purchase the Cannabis Health Coach Certificate Program. They actually get an hour and a half of live education with us every single month. And the part that's beautiful about that is
the
mastermind. So this is what we're doing that's a little bit different, right? So we have within here, we have the feed, which we're incorporating all kinds of information, but the video training. So this is all live documented trainings, PowerPoint presentations, case studies, best practices, scope and standards, we've been doing it.
Mhm.
So really, really excited to have you all come on board.
Yeah, because I don't think anybody else is doing this, right? Like if we think about the curriculum of the Cannabis Health Coach, our big program, right? A lot of people are teaching to the content, but they're not dialing it in and giving people the now what, right? And this toolkit in the Holistic Caring Cannabis Health Coach program gives you everything that you're possibly going to want to need. How do I set up an appointment in 90 minutes? This is kind of a fun thing, just to give you one idea of the granular level that we've gotten to as we built this. What you need before the appointment, how long you spend on your assessment, how long you spend on education of various things, etc. Right? And we've done all the thinking so that nurses can just plug and play. And that's the beautiful thing. And in the masterminds, we'll take a condition like cancer or chronic pain or neurological issues or mental health, and we'll break it down and we'll go through the case studies of what people came to us with, how they were being treated in conventional care, and some of the shortcomings and limitations there, and then what cannabis research might apply, some protocols on how to get started, and then how to really just get it all in. So it's an amazing program, and we invite everybody who's interested to come and join.
That's right. And if you're new, guess what? There's another 25% off.
Oh, yeah.
25.
So all of October 2023, we're in October. It's the 2nd. So happy new month, happy fall. Come join us in the network. Go to the professional programs on the website, purchase any one of them, and take 25% off with Nurse 25 all month long.
All month long. And remember, everyone, what it was all about. It is truly about living your best life and helping others do the same. Come help us change the paradigm of healthcare. We truly need your help. If you're a nurse out there, we need you. There is so much work that needs to be done, and we have all the resources, and we're ready to help you, to help others.
Yeah, if you want a new stage and a second act, join us.
That's it.
All right. God bless.
Take care.